Welcome to episode 1 of the Hunting Buddies eScouting report presented by Westy Boys. If you found this page, you obviously love hunting and you love data, and you want to try to figure out how to make your job easier when you're on the mountain. Today, we're going to showcase how to take data off the internet, place it into a system called GIS, show you the easiest ways that we locate animals. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel out immensely, and it'll help us bring more and more videos to help educate you guys on how to best e-scout in your area. Let's get right into it. Hey, live. This is our first video going over kind of the Hunting Buddies process and showing everybody here how we have been successful on public land in Montana and Idaho so far. And we want to show you guys kind of our process, how what gives us the legitimacy to find this stuff and for you guys to trust us. We want people to have the confidence to go on public land, whether they live in the state or they're getting an out-of-state tag or they take a draw tag or wherever, and feel confident using this process themselves or reaching out to us and having us kind of dissect their units. And Joe, I want to start things off by kind of just introducing yourself. You're kind of the mastermind behind the maps. We've both kind of been learning on the fly and trying to do our best to provide the best possible models that we can. But he is a data professional by day, and obviously loves hunting. And we've been messing with maps for honestly around the last 5 years or so. So Joe, kind of just take the floor and give a little background of what you've been doing the last 10 years of your life.
So I was in the Army for 5 years. I was a 35 November. I can't speak to it a whole lot, but if you guys Google it, it'll show you what I did on a daily basis, right? So we're going to gather data. We're going to analyze that data, and we're going to disseminate that data out for people to make big decisions, right? Now, I don't do that anymore, actually. So I did that for 5 years. Now I work for big defense contractors, mostly Boeing, Raytheon. Worked for some pharmaceutical companies, Medtronic. I've worked for Toyota, and I do data analysis and a lot of migration for them. So that gives me the data background. The maps background, I got a bit in the Army, but I don't do that daily anymore. But I just love maps. If you walked around my house, it'd be very apparent in 2 seconds. I have 8 or 9 maps in my 800 square foot house. So that's my background, data guy through and through. It's all I've done my basically adult life. Really interesting to be able to combine my hobby of maps with hunting and bring in my professional experience on the data side. And I think we have been relatively successful considering how much we've hunted, right? So I wouldn't say we have the most experience out of people you're going to find on the internet or in life. But I do think we're taking a unique approach that has worked for us. And if it can work for me, I mean, I'm still pretty green to hunt, guys. If it can work for me, I think it can work for pretty much anybody out there.
I think something important too is where we're kind of getting that data, and that's where I kind of come in and I've dug in deep. And it's not hard for anybody can kind of do this too. I'm just somebody that's taken a lot of time and done the research on these animals. And you're building these maps not just through any random data, but we've taken the time to find studies that we find reliable. There's colleges or Fish and Game, or they do studies and they place all of this data and information through these studies, and we dissect that and take all of the information that they gathered and we apply it to our model. So the more studies that come out, our models also become better. So let's jump right into it, Joe. Let's just go through kind of a blank map. We don't have to go through any of the research that we've done yet. We can kind of just be kind of basic with it. And since we are having a bighorn hunt in a bighorn ram hunt in Montana, and it's unit 300, I think it's the perfect spot, since it's public to everybody, to kind of just dissect that. And hopefully we do this now, and you're holding a bighorn sheep in September. So go ahead and get into QGIS and kind of just take it away.
Yeah, and I might even slow down just a little bit for people, right? So, um, talking about what GIS is might be a good next step, right? So we've explained
Go ahead. Yep.
who we are, where we're from, and now just for people that have just never heard of it, like what is GIS, right? And I'm just going to go to Google, right? So computer system that captures, stores, analyzes, and displays geographical referenced information, right? So it is just maps, but digital maps. And the one you're going to see, like if you're familiar with this at all through kind of government contracts or whatever, you're going to see ArcGIS, right? ArcGIS is a very popular. This is like the Photoshop. This is like what people want to use if you're doing GIS stuff, right? I'm not sure. There you go. You're seeing prices down there. So for us to do, it'd be $700 a year. You know, if we're trying to do it professionally, you can kind of see the price tag start to go. You know, if you want the nice features. So we don't use ArcGIS. We found it to be a little bit too pricey for what you get. If I was doing a government contract, we would. So the tool we're going to be using, QGIS. Drake, you could probably explain better. I'm a software guy. I do proprietary software. I think Drake's struggle would be the wrong word. I think you've done a really good job of learning it, but maybe you could explain that it's not the most user-friendly software on the planet.
So
You know.
if you don't know how to interpret large data sets and break them down into, um, digestible data sets on a map, it's going to be hard for you to place this on here. And this is why it's like, if you're able to, cool, we're showing you how to do this. The likelihood of the normal person being able to do this is very low. Now, the reason that this sets us apart from things like, Onyx Premium or things like that is they are giving you similar data that's probably pulled in a very similar way, but it is not to the detail and to the update that ours is. So yeah, it's going to give you the same slope data. It's going to give you the same data for basic number things, but the way you can actually put basically a target on your map is unlike any other. And we want to basically create that target and place it on the map that you use the most, whether that's, like I said, Onyx or one of the other ones. Like I think Joe also likes CalTopo, so that's another maybe option that we might
Right.
provide.
Like what people are probably familiar with is like Onyx, right? This is what a
And
lot of you guys
Joe,
are.
correct me if I'm wrong too. They
Calto.
do use data just like we use for the layers on
100%.
their maps, but theirs is not going to be broken down into SQL formulas
I
the
like.
way that ours is. That's a
Yeah.
lot of mumbo jumbo, meaning it's going to light the map up perfect for you to get a game plan on where to glass from, where to hike from, or where to hike into. It's going to give you it like basically it can break down all of the information about the mountain from above and from satellites and studies, and it breaks it down into like little black and white blobs for you, and that's where we come in.
Yeah. So I think Drake said it in a lot of words. I'd say the easiest way to say it is you can get elevation on CalTopo. You can get elevation data on Onyx. You can get slope information on CalTopo. You can get slope information on Onyx. But to be able, QGIS gives you it's a very powerful tool that allows you to combine those layers very seamlessly. Whereas you could highlight, on CalTopo in particular, you could highlight elevation and aspect, and it would highlight that area pretty well. But that's about the extent of the analysis you can do on the free version of CalTopo. The free version of QGIS, if you can bring that information in, you can analyze it in any way you want, right? So not only can you do, maybe elevation aspect, you can also add water features and check the proximity to water features. So maybe you have a river or something, or roads or trails, right? Whereas I've not seen a way in CalTopo or Onyx to analyze a spot based on how close it is to a road, right? So maybe for elk hunting in particular, areas closer to a road are actually worse for hunting than areas further away for roads. So how do you weigh that? You could look at it and do it, which is totally fine if that's what you want to do. But you could also, have a formula and math analyze every pixel in the entire unit uh, and give you an output that you feel really comfortable getting after when October comes around or September comes around. So, so you see a lot of people use Onyx, CalTopo. few less probably use Gaia. But these are like the big map brands. But that's just a quick overview of what GIS is, what we're doing here, right? The tools we're going to use to do the analysis and view the maps. And then maybe the third most important part about this is data, right? How do you get data? Where do you get data? And it's something you're going to learn as you go. That data comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Drake, I think you learned that while you're kind of trudging through like vegetation data versus DEM data versus road information versus.
This is the reason why it can be that we obviously want to offer it as a service, because the barrier to entry to get this thing to work, I've seen, and I'm like, this is something every hunter should be using, but it is hard to get it to work. So we've found ways to get this thing to be locked in and it's working. So like to jump around and get that data into something that is functional and honestly has done us a solid time and time again. Then, like we said, we're going to do bighorn sheep for our example today.
Do you want to talk about some data, or do you think you should only talk about it once people see it in QGIS?
I think you just get it into QGIS and then talk about it.
Okay. All right.
So like
So
honestly, we just want to get, so just for, I think the best example would be getting in your like 5 layers that we normally pull in for maybe our cheapest package that we even offered, that where it has or your slope, your aspect, your vegetation, maybe a hydrography lab or a hydrography layer.
we're going to take a step into QGIS. So when you open up, you create a new project in QGIS. This is what you're going to see. You're going to be like, well, where the hell's my map? Right. And that's where we're going to get into the point where it's like not as user friendly as like Onyx or something. Nothing shows here. I promise there is technically a map on this white screen. It's just there's nothing to see behind it, right? So so to add, your first map ever, you're going to get layer, data source manager. You're going to, I think OpenStreetMap is one that's just going to be defaultly available. Keep in mind, we are in this XYZ tile right here. So keep this in mind over here. Come here. You're going to add your first map. Look at that.
Voila.
You're already halfway there, right? Now, for us, we're in Montana. So we're going to look at unit 300 for bighorn rams. So same thing. Layers. We're going to add a new layer. This is going to be an ArcGIS REST server. I wouldn't don't let this intimidate you. Don't let all these options intimidate you. You're not going to use all of them. You'll use 2 or 3 of them at most for most maps. So don't look at this and be like, oh my God, these guys are, rocket scientists, because we promise we're not. And you can see once you add connections here, these connections kind of have data in them. You can pull that data from the internet. So the one we're going to go into is this one, Montana hunting districts. I'll edit it here so you can see this URL is where we're pulling the information. Okay, we're going to connect there, and this is going to have all our hunting districts for every species you can hunt in Montana, every district. So what we're looking for is bighorn sheep hunting districts, and we're going to add that district. So now you can see on our map, we populated every hunting district for bighorn sheep.
Doesn't it populate the entire state, Joe?
Well, there's not bighorn sheep in the entire state. There's
There you go.
only bighorn sheep in these specific areas, and maybe that's not true, but there might be a bighorn sheep, right here, but you can't hunt them because it's not a legal hunting unit. So this only shows the legal hunting units where there's bighorn sheep in the state of
Or if you
Montana.
pulled, say, an elk or whitetail or a mule deer like hunting
Yeah,
unit, it would pull the entire state. So the reason why
yeah.
it's showing that way is just showing bighorn.
So if we did elk, deer, elk, lion hunting districts, so we'll do that same thing. We'll add it. I'll turn off. See, this is our layers panel. I'm going to turn off the bighorn layer. You can see, oh, there's a lot more districts for elk, deer, and lion than there are for bighorn, right?
Right.
So I'm going to remove that layer. Don't get confused. Boom. All right, so we're back. Before we get any of the slope information or elevation data or vegetation data, I'm going to actually So we have a bunch of units here. We don't care about 482 or 261. We only care about unit 300. So I'm going to filter this down quickly by district. We're going to do district equals 300. And we're going to run a test. So we got one row returned. And now you can see with our filter applied here, we have one spot, and that's unit 300 there. So I'm actually going to export this as a feature. We're going to call it a shape file. And this is going to be called unit 300 Bighorn. All right. And so now we have on our map as we zoom in, right? So big picture, here's US, here's Montana, here's unit 300. All right. Now I'm going to do a couple things quickly here just to make it nice. I click this simple fill. Fill color is going to just be 100% opaque. And then we'll make the stroke color, we'll make it, I don't know, maybe hunter orange here. It's my favorite to make it. Oh, one more thing. Go back in here. And we'll give it a little bit of thickness there. So now you can kind of see that outline a little bit better. And just to prove to you, I can remove all the information. That thing isn't going anywhere. So there's this white screen still is a map. It has no features on it, right? So now, before we get too into it, another thing you're going to have to learn, and this is why you guys are going to end up paying us. Another thing you guys are going to have to learn is about CRS, right? So it stands for Coordinate Reference System. And so there's hundreds, thousands of maps, and they all have their own kind of coordinate system. There's some very popular ones, I think, like ESPG 3857. I think there's another one with like 4 in it. When we're talking Montana, though, we got to use this specifically unit 300. We're going to be using this 26912. All right. And so keep that in mind, guys. This stuff gets annoying pretty quick. I promise it's worth it if you want to learn. If you don't want to learn, you pay us $250. We do this for you, just like you're getting on a call with your buddy.
Check. It's a perfect check. And again, the consultations, the first demo is always free.
All right, so back to QGIS. I'm going to remove this layer because we don't need it. A lot of times, guys, will be seeing me export layers, save them, and then removing the kind of base layer. It just keeps the data as minimal as possible so the computer runs faster when we start doing the calculations and stuff. Okay, so what's next? What else do you want to see, Drake? So now we have
we want aspect, or we should probably put our DEM layer on first, but
so let's add some elevation data. So DEM stands for Digital Elevation Model. So we're going to add a DEM layer. We're going to show you where to get these DEM layers. These are publicly available through this website, apps.nationalmap.gov downloader. It's going to have a bunch of data you could download, from hydrography to imagery to LiDAR scans, boundaries, roads, whatever. We're going to focus on elevation products. So that stuff, we're going to hit that. For hunting, I think 1/3 arc second, or it's about 10 millimeters. So every 10 millimeters, every 10 meters, you kind of get new data. So what is that, 30 feet ish? So it's accurate to within 30 feet. We're talking, up and down. Okay. So the next thing we got to do is we got to figure out where the heck we are. I know where we're at because I know where unit 300 is. It's right around here. See that Ramshorn Peak? That's in unit 300. So we're going to I just do the extent, and I'm just going to grab something like that. And okay, so we told this website, hey, this is the data we want for this area. And search products, boom, we got data.
Now, this is kind of unique for this unit too, because the unit's actually split in half. Again, this is why you pay us the big bucks. But this unit's split in half. Usually it could be one of these, but since it's two, we have to actually put this elevation data on twice.
Maybe I just do that. There you go. Hit download link there. Bang. Now you'd be downloading your stuff. I'm actually going to stop it because I already have them downloaded. So let's add layer. We're going to add a raster layer. Don't worry about what a raster is yet. We're going to explain that. Maybe not in this video, but in future videos. So we need this one and that one. Okay, add it. So now what Drake was saying is, why do we have two different, why do we have to download two files, right? And this is what he's saying. So this dem file covers this section of the hunting unit. This dem file covers that section of the hunting unit. All right, so we're going to merge these two into one. You guys don't have to do this, but it does make your life easier. So we're going to select our two raster layers. It's like this is dense notation for people that want to do it. We're going to help people get elk, and then hopefully they'll say, that looks hard. I'm just going to have you do it. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's not very easy. Anyways, welcome back to it. So what have we done here? So now we have a unit 300 dem file clipped to the unit. We merged both those. So first off, we merged both those files together, the left and the right side together, merged them together, and then clipped it. So it only shows the unit 300 information, and it's still looking pretty good there. So from there, now it gets a little easier here to add. We should be able to add like a slope pretty easy. See it? Bang. There's our slope information. You can zoom in, and each pixel represents, and I can show you here. So you see how band 1, gets higher, gets lower, and these should represent, if I brought like this bad boy up front, right, we should see higher slope values probably here, on the side of Sawtooth Mountain. Yeah, all right, so 24, 21 versus down here by the valley, we're seeing 14, 10, 8, you know what I'm saying. So the higher the value, the higher the slope, right? This is slope is represented in degrees. So I do believe that this is like 20-degree slopes, 37, 7-degree right there, 8-degree, whatever, 2. Next would be aspect. Analysis aspect. Here's what an aspect layer looks like. So this colors each side of the mountain. So, you can kind of see the mountains here. This is like an east aspect. Identify tool here. So here's an east aspect. Here's a west aspect. Here's probably a south aspect.
Where does it say on there that you can tell the group?
Yep, the values here. Band 1 value. And it might be wrong. I'd have to see it with the topo lines. But yeah, so like this might even be north. Right? Like 5 degrees might be north. So if you think of a compass, 0 degrees is north, right? 180 is south. So think of it like that. So
the importance of having like the aspect is like, okay, if you wanted to hunt in the morning, these are the places that are good morning spots. If you wanted to hunt, middle of the day, afternoon, these are good spots. So like this basically just takes this information and we'll put like when we run our formulas, it's something that we can add to it to give us a better chance in the mornings versus the afternoons, or even time of year, and you can versus the time of year that it is, how much snows on the mountain, things like that.
Okay. What do you want to look at next?
So now you have that on there. Show how you can basically take that data and just highlight, like south-facing slopes. The slope, the southeast is what the most sun. Southeast gets most sun, right?
All right. Yep. All right. So in raster, there's this thing called a raster calculator. You can take these bands or these layers represent certain information, right? So aspect is that information. So we can say, hey, we want to see a southern aspect. So what does a southern aspect have? It should have, let's say 140. So we're going to do where the aspect is greater than or equal to 140, and the aspect is less than or equal
225, I
to
think.
225. Yeah, I mean, you can change it up depending on how you feel. You got to give this thing a name. We'll say south aspect, southeast, right? So anything in white is a one. So one meaning good,
Fits our
right?
criteria.
Zero meaning that's not a south aspect. So anything here would be a south aspect, right? Now you can take it further. Um,
Now it's
let's
slope.
go back to yeah. So let's do where aspect is less than or equal to what we say 140, and aspect is less than or equal to 225, and uh, and let's do dem. Let's say an elevation is greater than or equal to. This is in meters. So let's say 2,000 meters, something like that. Whatever that is in feet, right? Um, and so this could be south slope, south slope elevation. Boom. It's going to take a little, but you see it take it off some, right? So see how it's shrinking it? So we're saying, hey, right there on the edge of the unit, elevation's just not high enough to count. So we can take it another step further. Okay, so let's keep going. So we got, oh, we don't want south aspect. We want aspect less than or equal to
Joe,
135.
not to interrupt your calculation. Keep going on with the calculations, but this is where the information from those studies come in. This is where elk like to be. This is where deer like to feed. This is where they bed. Like these things are what dial in these layers, and the information is out there to find. So we found them on the studies. You can find them on the studies. Use AI. Use whatever programs that you think you can find these at, and then you're going to apply that information to this data because this is a big data set and then you're shrinking it down to where these animals live and where they should be
Yep. And so
best
now, so
habitat
we've
basically.
right. Yeah. We're just trying to make habitat models based on literature, right? So what you're not seeing here is the whole literature part.
And we're
And
just
we'll go,
throwing numbers on here because we're making it basic right now in this unit because that's kind of what our where our service comes in is like we take exactly the hunting unit you're in the area that you want to hunt and we're putting the numbers to it and the research to it where whether that's just a check on places that you already have interest in or the first like we kind of I don't want to say guide but we push you in the direction through our model.
and so
And I
this
like
could
calling it a
be
habitat model because that's exactly what it is.
south aspect, uh, elevation, and this now has slope. So I've added a little bit more elevation to it. So I think I did 2,000 last time. Now I'm at 2,200. And we've added a slope has to be greater than or equal to 30 degrees. So now we have one, two, three, four criteria that this each pixel has to fit into. If it doesn't fit into it, boom, kick it out. Not worth us taking a look at, right? So it's just an easy way for us, because Drake and I could sit here and we could look at this map and we could get on Caltope and we could think, okay, hey, here's the elevation, here's the aspect, okay, here's the slope. You can do all that stuff and you can do it pretty good. Um, that's not new. This isn't new. You can do this on Caltopo. I'm not sure about Onyx. I don't spend much time on it. Let's take a look. Wow. Oh wow. Look. Hey. So now we're look at how much we got rid of by adding slope and stuff. So now we're like, okay, well this looks really nice. Huh. Wonder what this is called. All right. Where are we at here? Let's get rid of some of these. Right. Huh. Ram's Horn Peak. Oh, interesting. I
It's
wonder why
called
they
that.
call it Ram. And you could see that. You could do that. I wonder why it's called Ram's Horn Peak. But we could be looking at it from the perspective of let me add another layer here, guys, so you can see what I'm
I
talking about.
also
Let's
think the underrated part of this is the proximity and being able to get, kind of close to a river or like a water source, or like you said earlier with elk, roads. like certain distances away from roads. Say you're not a huge hiker and you don't want to hike more than 3 miles out into the cut. We can
Mhm.
also set that limit there, so there's not even highlighting anything 3 miles away from a path. You know.
Yeah, and we'll show that in a second. I just want to be like, okay, so we have Ramshorn Peak here. We'll move this up just so we can identify where it's at.
And you can
So we
also
have,
mess with the transparency too. Like you can,
yeah,
and with your
we
layers,
do
you
all
can
this.
make
It
it
does everything every other map does, right?
right.
But what I'm saying is like Drake and I could probably look at this unit just in our eyes and be like, huh, bighorn sheep might be around this area. We could
Right.
do that. But maybe Drake and I make the mistake of going up Scully Creek instead of Soldier Creek, right? So if you look at our model here, let me turn off that. So if you look at where we should focus our efforts, or Dry Creek, I guess in this example, right? We should if it was up to me, I'd say based on this pretty basic model, I would say we should check out right around here, right? This Dry Creek area. This is where we should be focusing. But we could be like, look, there's this Forest Service 3256. Why don't we drive up here, walk up Scully Creek? We'll probably find something, and we might. But uh, you know, we could also look, just take it that step further. It would probably be a better idea to take this Tom Miner Creek Road down to this Buffalo Horn Pass and hike up Dry Creek, just based on again, this is
The small data that we've input
yeah,
that's
you
not
know,
even true to what we're really looking for. You
yeah,
know.
but I'd say we're going to find better success looking up Dry Creek than Scully Creek. But without this basic analysis, you're not going to find that. Now, where we're going to go, where we can take this step to the next level is with proximity searching and vegetation models, right? So I don't know if that's something we're getting into in this session here, or is this enough for a basic
I think this
overview
is
of what?
enough for a basic overview just to kind of show what we offer and what we do, and a basic analysis of your unit once you like actually, decide that you want to do a consultation with us. And it's honestly it's fun for us. That's the biggest reason we're trying to do it. We're trying to grow this type of scouting and make hunters hopefully feel more educated when they're out there, not only to protect the animals that we love to go after and understand the population and everything like that when you're doing the research for these animals, but also keeping you guys safe, giving you guys confidence to go out and do this yourself and not feel like you have to go and buy a guide or a service that, might be tens of thousands of dollars when you could pay a couple $100 and maybe ask a friend to go with you and you guys could have the time of your life just like we've done in the past. So,
Yeah, it is a lot of freedom when you can kind of just get out there by yourself. And again, we're not trying to encourage people to do anything dangerous. We're not trying to encourage people to hurt themselves. But you know, if you feel comfortable out in the woods and you want to go accomplish something yourself, and you think you can make smart decisions while you're out there, and you just want someone to double check. Hey, spot check me. Hey, buddy. Can you just double check my work here? Just make sure I'm going to the right area, and because you might only have I know our first Idaho hunt, and we're pretty fortunate. We're pretty blessed. We had 3 or 4 weeks to go out there, and we didn't have girlfriends at the time. We have remote jobs. We have it pretty good. But maybe you might have a wife, kids at home. You got lucky, you drew a tag, good unit. Maybe you only have 5 or 6 days to go hunt. Well, spend the 2, 3, whatever it costs, and just have us double check your work, man, because I'd hate to have you go out there and you see right there like a simple model can
you
choose.
it can just save
Yeah,
you it can save your time in general, and it can just save you the headache of being like, "Did I do everything I could to try to tag out here?" Because you don't wanna be
yeah,
eating tag soup, you wanna be carrying elk off the mountain with your buddy. And,
yeah,
like, that's where we come in, and we wanna be that hunting buddy for you if you decide you wanted to do this, and you, purchase the package in the link below, then that's all we can do is do our best to try to put you in position just like we have in the past, and to be honest, I think just having the information at your disposal allows you to even have the peace of mind to not bump animals out of where they're supposed to be. If you know there's an area that's an ideal bedding area, you don't want to be walking in that bedding area in the morning. You want to be glassing that bedding area and watching them come out from that area. You know what I mean? There's a lot of rhyme and reason to everything that we do. And we want to show you guys as much as we can on YouTube. But at the same time, I think you're going to benefit the most by at least doing a consultation with us, getting an understanding of your unit, and then seeing exactly how we apply our knowledge to each and every one of you guys. So, Joe, anything you have? Any last question or any last like
Yeah, and
remarks? Any
right
points?
now all I'm showing is like if just basic stuff, guys. If you just wanted to see that the same thing we did here, you can do it in CalTopo in 2 seconds, right? So, but I'm telling you, there's things in you can't do in CalTopo that in the next episode we'll show you guys how to do, you know, water proximity and trail proximity, road proximity. Um,
We could also
it's
do vegetation proximity. You know what I mean?
vegetation, yeah. Other things, vegetation models, you just can't find that. You know, you just can't do that stuff. Unfortunately, you just can't do that stuff in CalTopo. They just don't. You probably can, but you'd probably have to buy Pro and do something that I'm just not familiar with. I don't pay for Pro. I don't really pay for this stuff because it is all publicly accessible information that everybody uses. But
Another big reason why we want to do this too is we've done everything. We've hunted in units and we've done everything that's available to the common man. This isn't stuff that we've never hunted units that are draws or like your buddy's private land. We've went on public land and they're all public tags. And we want to show that hey, if you actually think you can do this and you're an outdoorsman, because in our opinion, everybody can be an outdoorsman, but not everybody can do this. And this is where we want to make you feel comfortable and take you to that next level. So um, you'll see more on the next episode. We're like Joe said, we'll add proximity layers, we'll add a little bit of water, and maybe we focus a little bit more on the bighorn hunt in general, and kind of just show at least our process in this unit. So until next time, hunting buddies, we're out. See ya.